A friend of mine who's in the fashion industry made a fortune in the 80s on leg warmers. Oh, yeah. I remember wearing them all the time. Leg warmers and headbands. Now, that was about women overtaking the exclusive territory of men at the gym. What? Women are at the gym? Well, that was unheard of. Hi, everybody. Well, if it's Thursdays for Too Young to Be Old podcast, it must be Fashion Thursdays with Diane. Hi, I'm your host, Diane Gilman, formerly known as the Queen of Jeans, but today the proud host of two podcasts. So, fashion, right up my alley. And the title, I had to do a lot of thinking about that, but you know what I'm going to say? The title is Stash the Flash. Ladies, no, we are not wearing flashy clothing. We are not wearing super harsh, bright colors. We are in an era that creates and pushes a change in fashion because the current events of today become the fashion statements of tomorrow. And right now, there seems to be such a divide between the wealthy and the middle class, the rich and the not so rich. That honestly, when I was going to London, somebody who said to me, who has lived on and off in London a long time, do not bring any flashy jewelry. I said, no, not even my beloved diamond watch. No, especially not anything that twinkles. So we are in an era where everything that goes on globally is bared and shown to us in photo form and commentary every hour of the day, relentless 24/7. And I think now is a time for us to retract, for us to see fashion as a statement of what I'm going to call stealth luxe, whisper luxe. It's luxurious and you have a lot of confidence because you're not wearing a tremendous amount of confusion, print, bright color. It's quiet luxury. And it is quiet luxury where you can actually shop your own closet. You don't need to go shopping. You may want to fill in a few pieces. And I deliberately wore today an outfit that 10 years ago, 20 years ago, I would have never considered wearing. Let me get this mic a little further away. So I'm wearing just a tailored shirt, but the deal is it has very long shirt tails at the bottom that stick out underneath my blazer, which is black, 2-button blazer. And that gives it a little bit of youthfulness and a little bit of a kick. And then I'm going to wear it with either black skinny trousers. All the models are now wearing their blazers with dyed to match leggings. I love that idea. Maybe even white tennis shoes or a white fashion seeker or a white or cream colored loafer. But, you know, it's funny. I was watching cable news, as always, and there was a review on putting out an album of Madonna's greatest hits. So I started thinking about the 80s and I started looking up things that relate directly to that because we had fashion revolution after fashion revolution in the 80s and everything was about, hey baby, if you got it, flaunt it. That meant insane hairstyles, tons of curls. A friend of mine who's in the fashion industry made a fortune in the 80s on leg warmers. Oh, yeah. I remember wearing them all the time. Leg warmers and headbands. Now that was about women overtaking the exclusive territory of men at the gym. What? Women are at the gym? Well, that was unheard of. The New York Athletic Club on Central Park South in Manhattan, standing rule. No women ever allowed, ever, not even to the squash courts. So we overtook that territory, and then we overtook corporate as well. But corporate, we weren't so willing in the 80s to give up our femininity. So that was really the interpretation of taking shoulder pads from tailoring. And I remember I had an entire drawer in my dresser just devoted to Velcro shoulder pads that could go in anything, and I put them in everything. And I loved the biggest ones. They were like 2.5 inches high. And I put them in sweaters. I put them in t-shirts, and I felt really naked without them. And that was the beginning of borrowing from the boys. Now, when I talk about if you got it, flaunt it, let's go to the major movie of the mid-80s, Wall Street. Michael Douglas, Gordon Gekko. Greed is good, which interprets into if you got it, flaunt it. And that was exuberant color. And I would say everything to me about most of the 80s. The fashion was very wanting to climb the social ladder, wanting to exude upscale, but also a cry for freedom from females, and a lot of color and a lot of boldness. That is not what's going to happen today. The news and the current events are so split, and there just seems to be so much angst in the world that this is not a time for experimentation in fashion. This is a time for pulling back. I predict color will go soft. I predict we'll wear pastels in the winter, but they're not going to be spring pastels. They're not going to be bright and sunny and celebrating the first crocuses or daffodils with the daffodil yellow. Everything will be tempered down and tampened down. Soft blues, very soft ashen roses, everything infused with gray. And where the 80s were a lot of really harsh contrast of color against a neutral like black, which was another revolution. Women didn't wear black. Well, that started in the 80s with Donna Karan. You're going to see, going through this year, all through next year, those softened colors against gray rather than black. So I see black with ivory, black with white, the way I have it on with the shirt today. But I do say, and I've talked to a lot of guys from Wall Street about how our economy and the market reacts. During a time of uncertainty, which is 24 into 25 for sure, we don't react well as a society to uncertainty. And we tend to draw in. And I have to say, when times get very uncertain, and nothing could be more uncertain than the presidential election this year, or a brewing, really scary disturbance in the Middle East, or global warming, or, guess what? We don't want to experiment. We feel like there's enough of a brewing earthquake going on. We tend to want to rein it in and feel that we are in control. And to me, nothing does that like pieces that will never surprise you. They're tailored, they're shaped, they're enduring. And I think a really good blazer or two in your closet is a super wise investment. Now, through years for myself of dieting and gaining weight back and dieting and gaining weight back, I got two sides to my closet, the heavy side and the less heavy side, but they both contain a lot of tailoring because it's good for travel too. But let's say you're not a corporate entity like I was, where I sold my name and my business to a corporation and went on contributing and being on QVC and HSN. Let's say you were a school teacher or a nurse. You still got pieces you love, and you may want to turn around and explore some fast fashion at H&M. Top of the end of that would be Zara. And get yourself a blazer or two and not have to spend a fortune. And for those of you who live across the Southwest and the South, and you're saying, oh, my God, Diane, blazers seem so heavy. Well, guess what was another invention of the mid-1980s? The unlined blazer. Oh, yeah. We as women in the 80s were not ready to go as tailored and as prescribed as I'm dressed today. But we would go far enough to wear those crazy shoulder pads. And we took the men's blazer, took the lining out, put it into soft fabrics like rayon challis, and made it almost a glorified shirt, but with lapels. And so for those of you who live in climates now, and believe me, New York in its own way is a part of that, that experience warm weather much longer into a season like fall and experience virtually very little of winter. I think last year New York got 1.5 inches of snow. I was used to 30-inch blizzards dropping in a couple of days and wading out into thigh-high snow when I moved here. But I moved here in the mid to late 70s, but not anymore. So there is also that change coming, which is if you're going to invest some money in fall winter clothing, I have not bought, and I love buying coats and puffer jackets because it's something I didn't design. So I always felt I had a rationale for buying them. But I haven't bought a puffer jacket in this coming fall will be my 3rd year of not buying a puffer jacket. Honestly, you just don't need it. If you buy a slightly oversized blazer, you can layer a sweater hoodie underneath, a shirt under those two items, and go out and just peel off as the day goes on. And when I say stash the flash, I don't think in this day and age that it is a good message to say, I've got it, you don't. That makes me better than you. I think that fashion is always a societal statement. And this time, and I'm just going to sort of say the timeless classics not only take care of that, because by their nature, they're well-made, well-defined pieces of clothing. And what they do say is that this whole obsession with aging and youth is kind of obliterated because there is a way to say timeless classics as you dress that kind of take you out of those categories. And if you do want something flashy, My advice is don't spend a fortune on it. Just go to a fast fashion store like I used to love. And actually, I still do. I still love H&M. Like, one thing that to me is definitely not a core piece I'm going to spend a ton of money on would be an extravagantly ruffled chiffon shirt. Very feminine. I have a problem actually translating that to my personality. But Chloe, the famous French brand, that is their entire statement for early fall, done in deep flesh tones and really beautiful, actually. You know who interpreted that? And they're gorgeous. And I don't think there's one that's over $39. H&M. I was driving past their windows yesterday on Fifth Avenue and I thought, wow. Now, if I want to take my statement into a very different direction from what I usually do, which is all of this tailoring, go into a look like that. Buy one piece for $39. See how you feel in it. See how much use you get out of it. But otherwise, I say that in current society, I think clothing is almost a literal translation of what's going on. And frankly, and I do not want to get into politics, nor am I qualified to, but who we see constantly is who, in many ways, we want to be, or at least fake it till you make it. So in the 80s, I think the most viewed female, honestly, was Madonna. And because I live in New York, I remember thinking her whole demeanor was East Village, cutting edge, kind of flashy makeup, spiked hair, retro. You know, there used to be a million used clothing stores in the East Village that really had treasures. And honestly, Madonna, for years, her most coveted pieces came, like Desperately Seeking Susan, the jacket with the big pyramid on the back, came as treasures from those pieces that could have been from the 30s, the 20s. So we've gone way beyond that. And I think that when you figure out how you want to look for a year, you figure it out more easily, especially for us older girls who are over 50. From the women you constantly see and who you admire. And then the next thing that comes into your brain is that look really achievable for me? Any look is achievable. Whether it's right for you or wrong has to really come from you and maybe from some of the reaction around you, which is why I like this whole thing of whisper looks. It's tailored, it's timeless, it's ageless, and in its own way, because fast fashion does such a tremendous job at reinterpreting high end into fast low end. You can experiment, which is fun, and try out a lot of these looks. Like, I really think I'm going to go back to H&M and get one of those chiffon blouses. See how it looks under a blazer. Does it soften it up? And oh, by the way, that's the other thing we're looking for with what I would also call, besides whisper looks, stealth wealth. Subtle. I want soft layering pieces. Although I'm wearing a crisp white shirt today, which I do like, and I always ask the laundry to starch the collar and the front placket like a man's shirt. I'm going to soften up that look a little, and that's where my experimentation is going to be, on the soft pieces, which ordinarily I don't invest in because I've got that big spare tire around the middle. I feel like those softer pieces and those thin, beautiful silk-like pieces kind of emphasize that, but maybe I keep my jackets closed. So I want to say also that I think the women I see the most are absolute masters of power dressing. And who are those women? And nothing to me is more powerful than a blazer that truly fits, and helped ease us into corporate life and give us a standing that was at least a bit more equal to men. I think soft, busy clothing, busy prints, I think that puts men off. And if you have to deal with men every day of your life in a business world, you don't want your clothing to be their focus, and you don't want your clothing to stand in your way of elevating yourself and your image and your believability and your power. So who do I watch? I watch all the news anchors. I love them. I watch them on ABC, NBC, CNN, MSNBC, and almost literally they are all wearing some form of tailoring. And I've learned a lot from those women. I've learned how color works for them, and some of them wear very bright color. I'm a little not so anxious to wear color with white hair. I feel like my hair looks better contrasted against deeper neutrals. But if you want to get into micro trends, then really go to the retailers that master that and do it best. I think Zara is an absolute master at taking really powerful trends and reinterpreting them, and they are the kings of finding, and with their volume, they can command the weavings of really terrific fabrics that can be put into tailoring and bounce back. But besides the female anchors, dare I say, at least for the next 90 to 120 days, you're going to be seeing the vice president on the campaign trail for the presidency, Kamala, in beautiful tailoring. And the one thing that is going to be an obstruction for those of us who can't or don't want to spend a fortune on dress is I love the way she puts it together with dyed to match pieces. I am sure high-end designers like Michael Kors will pick up on that. But that will be for the woman who wants to really invest money. That will take fast fashion probably at least 4 to 6 months to respond to. So in the meantime, I say, you know what? Take a look at those women on TV. And another one is Daisy Lydic on The Daily Show. She's now wearing these beautifully tailored grayed down pastel blazers, a neutral silk blouse, shirt style, buttoned up. You can't go wrong. And that is what I love about where we're headed with fashion right now. I think the good thing is, if we don't want to spend a lot of money on fashion, there are not a ton of accessories to buy. But if you do want to buy those accessories, I say again, a friend of mine was wearing a gold necklace the other night with a blazer. And I said, oh, I love that necklace. And I was waiting for her to say, Tiffany's, blah, blah. She said, oh, yeah, I picked it up at H&M for $12. I think that is very modern dressing, where you test a trend by buying it at a lower price and see, are you really going to wind up wearing it every day? Like now, I don't know why, but I want just a little bit of sparkle. So last night for my birthday dinner, I was out and I was wearing my lab grown diamonds, girls, not the real thing. Tennis necklace and 3-carat studs. And everyone was like, oh, Diane, did you buy those for yourself for your birthday? Where did you get them? And it was like, yeah, I got them on Amazon from Ross Simmons for $12.95. That's how I want to test trends. And that's how I think modern dressing works. But these are not screaming out at you. They're just a little more feminized and maybe even a little more introverted than the big gold hoops I wear. And I think that we are going into an era where we are going to follow the running lead for the presidency on the Democratic side, Kamala, and that you're going to see very dependable, but very much I'm in control, power dressing. And I'll tell you what, it's a good place to be. And I'm already into fall. My head is done with summer, even though I'm spending Labor Day weekend in the Hamptons. That's a goodbye to summer weekend for us here in New York. But I'm into fall already. To me, mid-August, I always notice how the sky changes, how the tilt of the sun is different. And in the midst of summer where the sun is way up high and we get like 16, 18 hours a day of sunlight, now it's getting more moody. It's getting more autumny. And I immediately want to go to my safe spot, which is black. People say black is back, but where has it ever been? And I don't, as an aging female, or aged female at 79, I want the attention on me for, wow, she's really got good taste. Wow, I like the way she dresses. I don't want to scare anybody. I don't want to challenge anybody. I don't have to smack them in the face with bright, harsh color. I don't have to say I'm a leader. That was the 80s and the 90s going into the early 2000s, especially in New York, where the stock market is king. Wall Street says it all. And greed is good. And you wanted to show it off. Hey, I'm earning money. I'm climbing that corporate ladder. Today, it's a little more like there isn't a lot of background chatter. But women, for me, it would be momentous. It would be monumental if for the first time in our history we got a female president. And that speaks to discipline, talent, intelligence, focus, drive, devotion to duty, message. Those are not bad things to be seen for. And I honestly think when you wear the right kind of clothing, keep it quiet. Clothing, fashion going forward is not going to be about a distraction. It's going to be about melting into the landscape, fitting into the mood of our particular country, America. And you know what? I do remember a time also in the 70s and the 80s. Pardon me, my cats have something to say about this. Yes, single cat lady, that's me. Oh boy, they have a lot to say today. Irina, who knows? We want to express our strength. I feel like a lot of us, and certainly me as well, feels like things that we had depended on, counted on, and taken for granted. As females, they've been taken away from us. And we're serious now. And we see a pathway to elevation again, to feeling better about ourselves as females again, to feeling more power and more control again. And that is so aided and backed up by the way we dress. Now, last remarks. COVID took a lot of the importance of fashion away from us. And you want to know something? In a way, it was a relief. I took a deep sigh and thought, okay, I'm doing everything remotely. I don't have to dress up every day. I don't have to look a certain way every day. But let's not get too lazy behind that. Although there's still a lot of hybrid, remote, in-office work going on, we're back out in society again. And I think one of the biggest pluses to me of stealth wealth is you don't have to burden yourself with a ton of accessories. But if you want to, a good status scarf will go a long way in dress to impress, but quietly. And a good, for a fashion industry term, a good knockoff of a status handbag that you would pay $3,000 for, but now you're going to pay $100 for. And there's some really good ones at Marshall's and TJ Maxx. Those are, to me, the important accessories. If you want a necklace, because you see that look with the tailored dyed to match blazer, top, soft top, and trouser, and then a necklace framing your face, go to H&M. Yeah. They've got really intelligently done accessories, and you can get what looks like a Tiffany necklace for almost nothing. And then you know what? If you love it and you wear it every day, and as it gets less than lustrous, which a $10 or $12 necklace is going to do, you can turn around to your beloved, your significant other, and say, you know what I want for Christmas? When they ask you, I want a chain link necklace from Tiffany's. But try it out first. Be the test pilot. And know that we are going into a period that is not going to be about bold dressing, is not going to be about wild experimentation, and is not going to be about the shock value of clothing. Quiet luxury, stealth wealth, no splash with the bling, just stash the flash. That's what it's going to be all about. And the good news for us girls over 50 is the look is easily shoppable in your closet. And then add a few new additions. I buy most of my layering pieces now on Amazon and have them in my Amazon store. I didn't spend a fortune, but they look really elevated. And just think to yourself, this is not a fashion revolution. It's fashion refinement. Ladies, I hope you enjoyed my little stroll through the 80s as compared to the 2020s. And go shop that closet. Go have some fun. Try old stuff on with new stuff. Honestly, reemerging and reinventing yourself in your 50s, 60s, 70s, and beyond is just a step away in your closet. Thank you all. Happy Fashion Thursday. Thank you so much for listening to Too Young to Be Old podcast. The episode may be over, but the fun doesn't have to stop here. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at The Diane Gilman, or visit our website, thedianegilman.com. If you like the show, leave us a rating or a review and subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. And until then, don't forget, age is just a number. Together, we'll prove that we are all too young to be old.